Picture a man walking alone, calm, unshaken, utterly content in his solitude. He owns no titles, seeks no applause, and desires no wealth. He doesn't chase status. He doesn't perform for praise. He simply is. Yet, his mere presence unsettles the room. People glance, whisper, shift nervously. Why? Because he doesn't need them. And that, in today's world, is the most threatening thing a person can be. In a society addicted to validation, a man who requires none is not just strange, he's dangerous. As Nietzsche once warned, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. And Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think is strength. This is not a tale of rebellion or revolution. This is a quiet war. The kind society wages against the self-sufficient, the stoic, the free. Society trains you to care. From the moment you're born, you're groomed to chase approval, climb invisible ladders, and measure yourself by mirrors held by others. You're taught to accumulate status, possessions, followers. You're taught that meaning comes from how much you're wanted, needed, admired. But the man who needs nothing exposes this as illusion. He doesn't play the game, not because he's bitter, but because he sees the game for what it is, a theater of egos, a circus of comparison. He doesn't try to impress. He doesn't advertise his goodness. He has no need to be seen as important. In fact, he knows importance is a social fiction, not a truth. And in doing so, he becomes a mirror, one that shows everyone what they are without their masks. And most people don't like what they see. Society thrives on dependency, not the kind born of love or cooperation, but of need, the quiet chains we wrap around ourselves in the name of belonging. Need the job, need the title, need the partner, the validation, the likes, the applause. Be needed, be useful, be seen. But the man who needs nothing is immune to that tyranny. He doesn't beg for acceptance. He doesn't cling to roles. He doesn't fear rejection because he does not build his worth from others' opinions. And that terrifies people, because it exposes how enslaved most of us are to things we claim to choose freely. It is easier for society to label him as arrogant, cold, or antisocial than to confront the truth he represents. That truth? Most of us are not free. We are merely well-dressed dependents. In every room, there's a hierarchy, a dance of subtle competition. Who speaks louder, who's admired more, who commands the space. But when the self-sufficient man enters, he does none of that. And yet, he dominates the space. Why? Because he doesn't need it. And nothing is more powerful than a man who has nothing to prove. He doesn't beg for attention, so people wonder why he's so centered. He doesn't flex accomplishments, so people assume he must have many. He doesn't chase status, so others feel strangely inferior around him. His indifference becomes a mirror, a challenge, a silent rebellion. Nietzsche called this the Übermensch, not a man above others in ego, but one beyond society's petty fears and attachments. Marcus Aurelius would have called it ataraxia, a state of serene self-command, unaffected by praise or criticism. The world reacts to this kind of man not with admiration, but resistance, because deep down, everyone wants what he has. But few are willing to lose everything to get it. Here's the paradox. The man who needs nothing is often seen as selfish. The man who questions the game is accused of hating it. The one who walks away is called a coward. But this is projection. Society doesn't actually hate him. It hates what he represents. Because he doesn't just walk a different path. He reminds everyone that they could too, if they were brave enough. He makes the crowd question its own direction. He makes the ambitious doubt their motives. He exposes how hollow much of our lives have become, and that is too much truth for most to bear. So they shun him, they call him names, they exile him socially, not because he's wrong, but because he's free. And freedom, true freedom, always threatens systems built on fear. Where does this self-sufficiency come from? Not arrogance, not trauma, not hatred. It comes from inner clarity. The man who needs nothing has faced himself. He's wrestled with his own fears, ambitions, and insecurities. He has stared into the abyss and built a home there. He knows who he is. He knows what matters. He is not seduced by trends or terrified by silence. His mind is not a battlefield. It's a temple, quiet, deep, and sacred. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "People try to get away from it all, to the country, to the beach, to the mountains, but the real peace is found within." This man has found that peace, and it cannot be bought, taught, or borrowed. It must be earned. And that terrifies those who have never even looked inward. You can't manipulate him. He sees through it. You can't shame him. He's already made peace with himself. You can't tempt him. His values aren't for sale. This kind of man is rare and dangerous, not because he seeks to harm, but because he can't be controlled. He is a walking reminder that most of society is performative, fragile, addicted to validation. And so, people fear him. They misinterpret his silence as judgment, his calm as condescension, his solitude as sadness. But in reality, he's simply free. And that's the scariest thing a person can be in a world addicted to approval. Most of history's great thinkers, rebels, saints, and philosophers were feared in their time. Why? Because they were self-possessed. They spoke what others dared not say. They lived what others merely preached. Socrates was poisoned. Nietzsche died in exile. Marcus wrote his meditations in war camps, not palaces. They were feared, misunderstood, and rejected. Yet centuries later, we quote them. We study them. We admire their courage. The man who needs nothing walks the same path. He may not be celebrated now, but he is planting seeds of thought that will grow long after applause has faded, because he lives by principle, not popularity. If you've ever felt out of place, if you've been labeled too quiet, too intense, too independent, if you've lost friends for not playing along, let me remind you, you are not broken, you are free. And freedom, real freedom, always comes at a price. But that price is worth it. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't have to be liked to be right. You don't have to be understood to be whole. Just like Nietzsche, just like Marcus, just like all the quiet rebels of history, you are society's silent enemy. Not because you attack it, but because you expose it. Stay quiet, stay dangerous, stay free. If this resonated with you, then maybe you're one of the quiet ones too. Like this video if you've ever felt like your independence made others uncomfortable. Share it with someone who walks the same path. And remember, what society fears most often carries the greatest truth. Keep questioning, keep thinking, and above all, need less. See more. Be free.